Every year, hundreds of people in the theater and film industry are overlooked and underappreciated. These are the true backbones of the industry. People like the hair, the makeup, the set designers, lighting specialists, and costumers. This presentation is to bring to light one of the best costumers in the business who is just now starting to get the recognition she deserves, Ruth E. Carter. My name is Michaela Garcia. I'm a theater production minor and a senior. I will be sewing a garment during my presentation on the great Ruth E. Carter. She was born in Springfield, Massachusetts, and she was the youngest of 8 children. Her and her 5 brothers and 2 sisters were raised by a single mother. One of her older brothers, Robert, had taken an interest in art. Carter goes on to talk about how his pencil drawings are what inspired her to start sketching. She talked about how she would copy his pencil drawings, starting a bit of a rivalry between the two. "That's pretty good," her brother would tell her. "Mine's better," she would respond to him. This would be one of her greatest strengths for her costume designs later in life. When she went to college later in life, Carter went to Hampton University in Virginia. She talks about how she originally went to school for special education because she wanted to learn sign language and work for theater for the deaf, she talks about. After briefly considering acting while in college, she was passed over for a role in a production. She instead went to the costume designer role. Because there was not a costume design teacher on the staff at the time, Carter spent most of her time as a self-starter for costuming. She would go on to spend her junior year studying on her own, taking fashion classes that she could work on any and all costume opportunities that she could at the school, including even costumes for the Hampton Traveling Dance Troupe. By the time the school had eventually hired a costume teacher, she had surpassed everything they could do and teach her. "I was so busy I could hardly get to class," Carter says. "The instructor of the costume design wasn't really designing for the plays because I was doing them all." After her graduation, she went into an intensive theater internships, taking a local one in Springfield before she landed one in the Santa Fe Opera. She took her Volkswagen Rabbit cross-country for the job. It was working there that she came to the decision that she would rather present her designs and have a team of people making them rather than making them herself, which honestly isn't everyone's dream, to come up with wonderful creations and then send it to your minions to actually make them. From there, her next step in her journey took her to Los Angeles Theater Center, where she would jumpstart her career. While working at the Los Angeles Theater Center as a dresser in Hollywood, she would eventually talk herself up to becoming the foreman at the costume shop. She eventually got a gig at the Lulu Washington's Dance Theater in downtown LA. There, she met Spike Lee, who was relatively unknown at the time. Spike Lee asked Carter about her film experience, and when she said she had none, urged her to go to USC or UCLA to work on any student film projects to get experience. She did, and eventually got a call from Spike again. Carter got a phone call at work, and a male voice said, "Ruth, this is the man of your dreams." Carter said, "It was the 80s, and I responded, 'Denzel?' He said, 'No, this is Spike.'" He asked her to work on his movie School Days. This launched a partnership with Spike Lee that has, at this time, spawned 14 movies that they have collaborated on together. This launched her film career and led her to work with other directors like Lee Daniels and Steven Spielberg. Carter has done more work on historical African American television series and films than any of her peers in Hollywood. Carter has talked about how she really looks for the nuances in her costumes when making the designs. She knows how impactful a costume can be to an actor and takes that into consideration when making her designs. What makes a fashion a character? Is it the way that instead of buttoning the coat, it's wrapped around the waist and then a belt keeps it tied tight? Is it what's making this person look more like a character than just a fashion from the period? There's a big difference when you look at fashion pieces and when you look at real-life photographs from any area. You see what makes that person real. Things like this really help the actors get into the mindset and the time periods for the work she's done. One of her latest historical films she worked on was Marshall, starring the late Chadwick Boseman. Knowing he did not physically embody the historical figure, Boseman sat down with Carter to talk about how he wanted to embody the essence of this man and his swagger, his confidence, and the importance to our history. She was able to convey his message through her incredible and authentic vintage pinstripe suit. Each character in that film had their own distinctive looks that would be able to embody the feeling of the 1940s. Carter kept this determination and thoroughness in all of her films, like Selma and the television series Roots. One of her more notable works was on the Black Panther. This is the film that really brought her to the forefront for her costume design. This was the film that landed her the nomination for Best Costumes and her first awards in her long career. When Carter got the job for the Black Panther, she knew that she really had to do it justice. She had a responsibility to the fans of the comics and a responsibility to celebrate Black pride. She had to outfit an entire fictional nation. That, in and of itself, was a great feat. She wanted to base the central part of Wakanda on the New York City of Manhattan. And for the other Wakandan tribes, she based them off of real African ethnic groups. An example of this was the Dogon people of Mali, are known for their architecture and skills and their woodworking skills and astronomy. She based the fictional Jabari tribe off of them and had their armor be heavily wood influenced and carved. Since the tribe is also a mountain-based one, they also have things like furs and such to keep them warm attached to their armor. For the famed Dora Milaje, all of the female crown guard, Carter took extra care to show the details. She added details to each of their costumes that would show their personalities and show who they were, what tribe they came from, and their rank. These things are not necessarily caught on camera because of how minute of a detail they are, but they did add to the character's backstory and helped each of the actresses who played the Dora to get further into character they played and the world that they were building. All of the care and detail she took in the film was not just for the Black Panther. One of her latest films, Coming to America 2, has shown the same attention to detail that a major production like the Black Panther had, showing how much she really cares and takes pride in the work she does in all of her films. Just like Carter, I take pride in the work that I have done and in the detail that goes into making a garment. Here is the finished product for the shorts that I have made in honor of Carter and her work, hoping to bring more light to her and the costume industry.